This is the front stretch, fueled by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. It's the Metro's only source for karting that goes up to 40 miles an hour, but that all depends on how good you are. Get to Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs at 23rd Avenue. It's right next to AMC Theaters and just across the street from Horseshoe Casino. Turn 4 right now. It's the Infield Reporter, salvaged by Kaziski Auto Parts. Are you looking for used car or truck parts to get your vehicle running again? Call Andrew at 402-731-4592, or you can also visit Kaziski Auto Parts at 5040 I Street right there in Council Bluffs. Andrew, we haven't really talked much today about what you're going to be talking about because we wanted to hold it a little bit of a secret, but released earlier this week was the designs for the Dodge Chargers that are going to be running in 2013. And excuse me, let me rephrase that. It's going to be the Dodge Charger that's going to be running in 2013 as Penske's leaving the Dodge family, and it's now going to be Robbie Gordon. Talk a little bit about the designs and what's going to be changing for Dodge.
Basically, this year, 2011, 2012, Dodge in their Chargers, Magnums, even every one of their vehicles kind of has like a indent look inside both their doors. And really, I think Dodge is trying to make a step for themselves. They've ran out of engines. Now I think they're trying to bring the look back to NASCAR. They said the car tomorrow was first and foremost about safety, not style. After the deaths of Petty, Irwin, and Earnhardt, they said we need to make these things safer. Now they're trying to do different kind of drops. They've actually taken a lot from fans, and I think that's why this is the biggest thing and why this has been so huge this week is the fans really been drawing out what these cars are going to get to look like. And if nobody's seen a picture of these things yet, it looks like they got the full-out grille, bumper, the lower valence. Everything looks exactly like a Dodge Charger, the SRT model, which is just a different model of vehicle. But I think it's going to look goofy out there. They're going to really look like Dodge Chargers there on the track. Not smooth doors at all, but I think Dodge is trying to make a step without having engines in the game. They're going to need to do something.
I love the look of these new Dodges. I was actually just driving here today, and I passed the Dodge Charger, and it just looks mean. And that's one thing I love about NASCAR is they've gotten away from this. Every front end has to be the same. Now that each and every manufacturer can change it depending on the model they're running. So the Toyota Camry, the Chevy Impala, they all look like what you buy on the street, and now Dodge is getting into it a little bit. I think it looks awesome.
You know, I really like this look. I'm looking at the cars right now. They look mean. They look fast. And just like you said, I like the fact that NASCAR is trying to get away from all the cars look the same. You know, I remember, you guys aren't as old as I am, but I remember back in the early 80s when I was watching the Daytona 500, and you had your Pontiacs, your Oldsmobiles, your Cutlasses. I mean, you had everything out there. And a lot of the general American public is so brand specific to these cars. And I think by bringing, you know, these cars into NASCAR that look like their street predecessors and not one size fits all, everything's got to look the same. I think this is really going to help NASCAR and the Dodge brand. I love the move, and I like the fact that the car looks so much, I mean, it looks like someone rolled it right off of a showroom floor, you know, and drove straight to NASCAR and got on a track with it.
The unfortunate thing about Dodge is they got work to do in the offseason. Actually, they got work to do right now. They need to line up a major team to switch to Dodges. I'm really concerned that we're beginning to see the end of the Dodge, at least for the time being. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I think Dodge is going to end up leaving the series, and they're going to be forced out by Chevy and by Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. And it's unfortunate to see that kind of a history end. But this is a kind of a sport that you have to dump a bunch of money into your development, into your R&D, and it just seems like Dodge hasn't done that. And now they're coming out with this awesome-looking car. I'm sorry, Robbie Gordon's a good guy. I like him as a driver, but you're never going to see it.
If you think about this, if you're the CEO of Chrysler, or the Chrysler Corporation, why are you going to put all the money and resources into bringing a cup car if there's even an inkling that you're not going to be a part of NASCAR anymore? Now, granted, the simple answer to that is because we want to build a brand. We want to do something. But at the same time, you have to be realistic. If I'm running Chrysler, and thank God I'm not, but if I am, and I think 3 years down the road, I'm not going to see Dodge and NASCAR, I'm not going to allocate the resources to bring this car to NASCAR. Now, it looks bleak. It looks bad. I think Dodge is on the decline in NASCAR, but I don't think I give it the soonest we would not see Dodge in NASCAR overall, I think, 5 years.
Yeah.
They're gonna be around for another 5 years.
The reason, if you're the head of Chrysler, it shows on the showroom on Monday. The dealerships see more sales on Monday. NASCAR fans are the most loyal, brand-specific fans ever. I don't care. You go to an NFL stadium, they couldn't give two flips about who's sponsoring this at this sign or this end zone or that. But for NASCAR fans, and I do it myself, when I see that NASCAR logo on my Wix oil filters or my Mobil 1 oil or my shocks, you better believe I'm going to buy that brand. And when my favorite driver is driving a Chevy, I buy a Chevy.
What kind of car does he drive? Chevy and Ford?
Listen, here's the thing. I got a great deal on a Ford, so screw Tony Stewart driving. And when I bought my Ford, he was driving a Toyota, and I'm not paying for a Toyota price. Those things are expensive. I'm working on a DJ's salary, and I can't afford no Toyotas. But, that's the reason why Dodge has got to get back into it. It's going to cost them a ton of money today, but 10 years down the line, it could pay off for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, as we talked about earlier, Bristol Motor Speedway, the Bristol race coming up in just a couple of hours. Let's get some predictions before we wrap up the show. Give me an idea. We don't necessarily have to say who we think's going to win the race, but who do you have a feeling is going to run good, buddy?
I'm sticking with my guns, like I said earlier, Clint Boyer. I think the time is right. I'm not necessarily going to pick him to win, but I definitely see Clint Boyer being there at the end, top 5 car.
Well, the guy that's going to run the best all day, of course, is going to be Kyle Busch. I don't know if he's going to win or not, but it is a loose racetrack, like I said before, and Kyle Busch is by far has the loosest setup, and he is amazing. I just don't think he's going to win for some odd reason. In the back of my head, I keep seeing the name Kevin Harvick pop up for some reason.
He is good there.
He's going to get it done.
I'm going to go out there and gain a couple of fans for once. I'm going to go Earnhardt. I think that 88's going to break his losing streak. I think he's no longer down about himself. I think he's confident, and he is good at those short track races. I think he gets all these credit for being a good driver at the super speedways. I think he's a good short track racer too. I like him top 5. I really like him winning the race.
What do you guys think about Johnson? He's coming like a freight train, but he's not exactly coming like a freight train with some of these drivers. They're not bad drivers, but we see every week it's 10 spots gained, it's 11 spots gained, but he's racing against Casey Mears, Castle, Rudeman, Strimmy, Quapple. These aren't gaining positions against Earnhardt, Hamlin, Harvick, the Biff. Not in the driver standings. So what do you think of his luck, today here at Bristol?
I think he's going to race good. He's still got Chad Knaus up on that box, and whenever it's Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson racing in the 48 team, I think they're going to be successful. As far as what I think for his season right now, he's going to make some big jumps, obviously, because it's mid-pack. And he said it last week in the post-race interview. When you're running back there with those guys who don't consistently run in the front, it's a little bit easier to pass them, and this is the same thing in the point standings. Those guys aren't as consistent, so Jimmy could have a okay day and still gain 4 or 5 positions because the guys ahead of him had a bad day. When he breaks into the top 5, it's going to be a little bit harder for him, the top 10, it's going to be a little bit harder for him to gain those positions. But what's he going to do when Chad begins his suspension? How good is he going to run? How good are they going to be able to roll with the punches? That kind of stuff. When Chad ends up serving his suspension, how good is Jimmy and that team going to be able to run?
I think they're going to be tough. They are hands down, in my opinion, the best crew chief driver combination out there. They have been for the last 6 years.
So, going to be a great race today. Make sure you guys are tuned in. Watch us on the Front Stretch Facebook page. We'll be updating you with some great information, as well as not only the race, but all week long. You can email us with comments, questions, and just if you want to get in on the heckling bud, email us at frontstretch590@gmail.com. And then the Facebook page is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting. Friend us, fan us, and email us. Get a hold of us any way you can. This has been the Front Stretch, guys. Thanks a lot for another great week. This has been Turn 4, salvaged by Koziski Auto Parts. Looking for quality used car and truck parts to get your vehicle running again? Call Koziski Auto Parts today at 731-4592 or visit them at 5040 I Street. This is the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.